What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Thank you for dropping in, tuning in, or turning on Pretty Dece. Pretty Dece is your daily dose of entertainment and pop culture news and opinions. We talk about games, comics, and movies, and overlapping kind of all of those things, we're going to talk about a big, massive piece of news today. That is that the Disney and 21st Century Fox deal, the merger, is official. It's actually happening. It was announced that it was actually taking place, and it accounts for $52.4 billion in stock that will be changing hands in order for this merger to happen. So we found out during this merger that the Fox assets that are coming along, which is the majority of things from Fox outside of the sports themselves, from Fox News, but all of the entertainment, all of the movies, all of the television, all of those assets were valued at $66.1 billion, and then including the $13.7 billion that Fox was apparently in debt. So that's where they're arriving at that number. So that equates to about $28 a share for all of the Fox shares. We also know that Disney CEO Bob Iger is going to stay on. He's extended his contract to 2021 at least to oversee this integration. And Fox shareholders, after this is over, will get 2.2745 Disney shares for each Fox share that they currently own, giving all of the Fox shareholders a 25% stake in Disney. And as I said, the Fox Broadcasting, Fox Sports, Fox News, and then Fox television stations will spin off into their own company. So they won't have any of the media stuff they've created, any of the movie properties, anything like that. But that small chunk of Fox as a whole will spin off into its own thing. That'll still be valued, I think, somewhere around $10 billion on its own. But the majority of Fox, the majority of 21st Century Fox, is coming under the Disney umbrella. Now, Disney thinks that this regulatory review will take at least 18 months or upwards of 18 months to review, so making sure that this isn't the giant monopoly that it definitely is. But they apparently are very confident that this is going to take place. This is second only to the AOL Time Warner merger for largest show business mergers ever. So this is a massive, huge deal, and definitely one that affects all of us nerds that are out here enjoying things like all of the superhero movies, like things like Avatar, anything like that. All of these kind of geek-focused stuff is now all suddenly under the umbrella of Disney. So now Disney owns, with this merger, the X-Men movie rights, of course, Fantastic Four. They get Avatar, like I said. They get The Simpsons on the long-running television cartoon. They get all of the FX network programs, things like Always Sunny. They get National Geographic, which is something that you wouldn't really even think about in this, but they definitely have a big chunk of that. Just with the X-Men and Fantastic Four coming over, that means a lot of stuff for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You can suddenly have all of the X-Men and all of them showing up in the Marvel movies. You can have Spider-Man getting to hang out with his buddy Deadpool. You can have stuff like Black Panther, who's now been introduced in the Marvel Universe. You can have him meet Storm, who in the comics they were at one point married. That's really kind of exciting. And because of Fantastic Four, you get Doctor Doom and Galactus finally able to show up and threaten the Marvel heroes in the Marvel Universe, as they have definitely been much needed. I would love to see we get through all of this Infinity Stone stuff, that the next massive villain that we see show up to threaten all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Galactus. How cool would that be? Like, that's really, really awesome, and totally going to be a possibility now that this deal is happening. I have no idea. There's been no talk about what this means for existing films that are already in the works. The one that really comes to mind is New Mutants, which we talked about recently, the kind of horror-themed X-Men movie that seems like it could be really cool. that is kind of up in the air now with this merger happening. Maybe they, shelve it entirely because they want to do something different with X-Men. Maybe they just let it continue like normal. We really have no idea what this merger means in terms of how the companies are run. The two previously separate companies, what they're going to be like when they merge together. Disney could still treat them as mostly separate things doing different things. Maybe Fox can go do the more adult things, stuff that's not in the normal Disney, purview, and Disney can keep doing their thing. Or maybe they step in and change a lot about how everything works. We, again, have no idea, and probably won't know for a while until this is all finalized and until some of the dust settles. But it's certainly crazy. There's a lot of moving parts in all of this. One of those moving parts is something that, again, you probably don't think about in this merger, but is certainly going to play a massive role, I think. So Disney already had a 30% stake in Hulu. Fox did as well. After this merger, Disney will have a 60% stake in Hulu, or a controlling stake of Hulu. So that's really crazy, knowing that Disney is working on their own streaming service. We know that is coming down the road. We know that's why they pulled out of Netflix. So with that in mind, what do they do with this other streaming service that has this massive brand recognition that they now essentially control? They're in essence going to be competing with themselves. Does this mean that the Disney streaming service they've been talking about all along is just going to be Hulu? Maybe they work on buying a controlling share of Hulu and just keep that name, just keep that going. That would certainly make a lot of business sense, and if they're already out there making massive moves like this, that doesn't seem like the craziest thing that could possibly happen. I mean, certainly not in the face of how insane and wild this deal is that got finalized here now. So I think a lot of things are going to happen there, specifically on the Hulu front. And Disney, again, is out here making these moves so that they can just populate this streaming service that they're working on with content. And now they have this just massive stake of Fox content that they can put onto this service, that they can continue to make movies with and TV with, just to keep kind of churning through that stuff that now that they have the need to essentially run a massive streaming service, they have a much bigger pipeline they're going to have to fill. So, from a fan's perspective, I'm certainly excited about some of these prospects. I'm certainly excited about getting some of these X-Men stuff into the Marvel Universe. I'm excited to see maybe what Disney and what kind of a large force like Disney can do with some of these other things. I think maybe the Disney hand behind Avatar can make that movie better than it would have otherwise been, those sequels. There's some interesting stuff. There's some really cool stuff that can certainly happen now. On the other side, it gets a little scary when you start thinking that Disney is the sole controller of everything that we love and hold dear. Disney has already been the controller of Marvel, the controller of Star Wars. Not to say that they've done a bad job at either of those things. I think they're knocking it out of the park when it comes to both of those properties. And I was very scared when both of those things came under the Disney umbrella. But they've done a good job so far. But as this continues to creep out, less competition is usually not a good thing, but Disney so far has proven that they're a very good kind of steward of these properties, and they make good decisions in terms of creative stuff, in terms of stuff they're putting out, stuff they're putting on the screen. They're not just kind of churning out junk for the most part. So hopefully that continues. But it is a little concerning as all of these companies kind of conglomerate together into one mega corporation. It's certainly something to be slightly concerned about. Nonetheless, I'm sure this is something that we're going to be talking about for a long time coming. There's going to be lots and lots of wrinkles to this deal as we learn, more and more pieces of it, how all the stuff's going to shake out. But certainly the biggest news of today here is this Disney and Fox merger. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about this massive, ridiculous, insane news here in show business today. Make sure that you like Pretty Dece on Facebook. You can find that at facebook.com/PrettyDeceShow. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PrettyDeceShow and visit PrettyDeceShow.com. So I'll be back tomorrow as always. Until then, make sure you hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you are listening or watching on so you know exactly when those episodes drop.